Hello, everyone. This is Jennifer Randev, and I'm coming to you from G100 Oneness and Wisdom. We are back again, as I promised last month, that we will come back and we will share with you the awesomeness and the wisdom of some of our awesome country chairs. The one that I have today, which I believe is going to be very interesting for you to listen to, is our country chair from Colombia. But why do we do what we do? Why are we having these podcasts? That is something that I would like to first let everyone know. I say this every month, but I believe that everyone should know why is it that we do what we do. Well, we all have amazing country chairs, but it's always good to know what each one of these amazing women truly brings to the table. Because I believe that that would be something that we all can learn from. And we're all here to learn from one another, to respect one another, to grow with one another, and to really come together to create something far greater, greater than ourselves. So without further ado, allow me to welcome on screen the amazing Dr. Rebeca Forero. Welcome. How are you?
Good. Thank you for inviting me. How are you, Jennifer?
Wonderful. I just wanted everyone to know what a special young lady you are. And
Oh yeah, that's the
now
best part
young,
that you just said. Yeah, yeah.
we all are young at heart, okay?
Oh yeah.
I think that's so important to actually know. Well, Rebecca, I'm going to read a couple of things out for
Okay.
people to know a bit about you, but I'm not going to give the whole detail because if I carry on talking about what all you have done, you will be here for the full hour and I won't be able to have more questions, okay? So,
Okay.
how is Rebecca? Do you want me to call you Dr. Rebecca or Rebecca's okay?
No, I'm Rebecca. I
Okay,
was born
Rebecca.
Rebecca, and I'm still Rebecca.
Okay. So Rebecca enjoys curating events. She's a trainer and a consultant for human rights and diplomacy. She is a peace messenger. She believes, in her words, leading by example is the way that she would like to move forward. She is so much into empowerment, inclusivity, human dignity, and she's also about global peace and enjoying community welfare. So, all of this stuff, I'm going to ask you a question as to were you born with doing all of this, or is it something that has really you've grown into? And who has been your inspiration to truly come into the area that you exemplify in the work that you do today?
Oh wow, that is a really huge question, and but it's interesting. Well, I think that I was not born like this, but in my belief, we all should be born like this. Like we all should live in a peaceful environment. So, of course, I didn't come from a country that is so peaceful. I represent them. And the reason why I'm doing it through the G100 is because I truly believe that we need to do our part to get to that point. So, it has been more than 50 years that I've been going through meeting people, meeting different communities, seeing the pain, seeing the good things, not just the pain. And every person that I met is my inspiration.
Mm,
So every time that I speak with someone, I always get something from them.
mm.
So I cannot tell you that I have one person that is my inspiration. It,
So,
it will be.
so would I be accurate in saying that the environment that you grew up in Colombia has has shaped you into who you are because you've seen both sides of the fence. You've seen areas where there was pain, there was suffering, there was injustice, there was no
Yes.
humane behavior. And then you have also seen the other side. And I believe the family, your family, whenever I've talked about you, your family does play a very integral part in developing you as an individual. So I would like to know, because it's a really interesting thing to actually see how we could be challenged by whatever it is that we see. But when we are in the environment of our family, there's safety, there is respect, there's integrity, there is empathy. And I believe you are so well rounded in all of that in how you show up today. So, in the family, I know someone in your family who has been the champion of really being behind the scenes. And I will be writing about her later. But I wanted you to share with us as to who was that amazing woman who stood by you and actually helped you to see the brilliance of who you can be. And when you
Hmm.
talk about leading by example, I think she is a lady who you've taken as
Well,
a role
listen,
model.
it is actually how you say it. It is interesting because it started with a man. Okay, my dad was like that person that you always respect, that he believed in discipline, and he was like all the right things to do. You know, education was important. My mom was like the rebellious part. You know, she was like, no, I'm not gonna wake up early because everybody says, you know, she was always the one that will speak up
Mm,
and will say whatever. But she also comes from a culture that you can talk until some point, you know, and
mm,
especially at that time. So it was, she was always trying to bring the message that we are all the same and all that. But she was cut at that point because she couldn't. It was just that I guess the times and the culture, she was not prepared, her family.
mm,
But I always saw her like fighting for that part, that the right thing to do, you know, to help others. We had struggles when we were kids, struggles that she was a single mom with 5 kids. Okay, so
mm,
it was no food in my house sometimes, but we always were a team.
mhm,
And she was like just fight and say like, okay, family is first, and no matter what you do, we are gonna be there for you. So I got that from her,
mm,
and that was something that I learned. But in the process of growing up, I had a situation in my home that coming to that safety that you said, uh, it broke up like all my safetyness and all my trust because I was abused by my stepfather.
mm,
He was sexually abusing me for a couple of years. So I didn't know how to get that
mm,
message to my mom, you know? So when I decided to speak up, she backed up. So she wasn't there for me. I guess she didn't know what to do, culture. I don't know. I don't
oh,
judge
yeah,
her.
yeah.
But that was the point that I was like, okay, it is okay to fight for your family. And I know when somebody doesn't fight for you, right? Because at that point I felt alone. So, and I was a kid.
How
So,
old were you, if you don't
from
mind me
there,
asking? How old were you?
12. But it was something that it was coming since I was 9. So I was like, okay, I need to learn how to, you know, protect
Manage.
myself
Exactly.
and the ones that I love,
Mm,
managing the environment, as you said,
mm,
like no, everything is good, but we need to move forward because I was not going to be sitting complaining. And I have 3 small little brothers that when my mom was working, I was
taking care of
there
them.
to take care of them.
Mm,
So I was the one that if we didn't have food, I have my brothers are musicians, you know,
Mhm.
they love it, and one of them is a professional. And I always said that it was because of my team building
Oh,
skills.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. No,
Because
I think it,
when we didn't have food, I will ask them to sing until they were so tired of singing that they fell asleep and they forgot of the food.
so you didn't cook any food for them, did you?
And of
No.
course I did. I didn't know how. So for them, because they had to eat like horrible things, but
But
we were all kids growing up.
no, but you see, for me, when I look at you, and I've spoken to you a couple of times, it's always about wanting to help, which is something that I really admire about how you come across. And you're a strong advocate of let's not just talk about it, let's do something about it. Okay. And
Yes,
I see that in everything that you, how you show up. And you surround yourself by amazing people. I think
thank
Wilma,
you.
your husband, is such an amazing support. And I like the
Yes,
fact that you acknowledge him in everything that you be and do, which is really remarkable. So
thank you.
if you're listening, Wilma, be
He
awesome
is.
as you always are. Uh, but I want to know from you. So you are in Colombia and you are trying to manage the best way you know how. You then choose to come to the States and have now become a US citizen. I'd like to know a little bit about that because I think it's first and foremost the environment where you came from was challenging, no doubt. Okay.
It was
It
very challenging.
requires a lot of resilience to be able to experience what you experienced as a young girl, to be able to manage when mom is not there, and yet come out from that space into a place where you sense freedom. So tell us a bit about that because I believe it's an inspiring thing to hear.
Thank you. Well, if of course, as you said, it was difficult and challenging. And my mom was the one that decided to leave. And she was like, I need to go somewhere else because if not, like nothing is going to be good for us. So she came first. I had to stay in the country with my brothers and raise them. She got into some relationship. She got married, and she was a victim on that relationship. So she was not able to call us to contact us. So it was like maybe a few years that we didn't know anything about her. And at that point, since my
Mhm.
mom taught me how to be a mom because I was taking care of my kids, so I did the right thing and I got pregnant. So yeah, so I was when I was 20, I already had two kids and I was a single mom. I got divorced at that point. I couldn't finish high school either because I was just working for everyone. And my brothers were there with me. They were 11, 13, and 15, just boys. Okay, so uh, I tried different things. I was into working with the government, and then I was like, the only thing that I can do is to be an entrepreneur because I need to set my salary. I never went to school at that point, so I couldn't get a job that paid enough for me to take care of everyone. So I did my venture with my internet, and the only thing that I did know how to do really well it was parties because we have a big family and we always had parties. So I started doing events and it was a good experience, but I didn't know how to do
Mhm.
like be a businesswoman at that point, and I was very young, so I was very broke really really fast. My brothers graduated from high school. They went to university. One is a doctor, the other one is a philosopher, the other one is an engineer. So at that point, I was like, okay, I'm ready to move forward and think about my kids. I don't want them to be in this
Mhm.
struggle that I've been all
Yes.
the time. And so my mom was here, and at that point, I was already speaking with her. Her family was here, and she said, "Just come here, and we will start all over again." So I decided to move to the States with my two kids and my bags. And when I got here, I was like, okay, I need to work, like,
Mm,
what is that I'm going to do? I didn't know English, I didn't know anything. And she was like, well, you need to take the GED. The GED is the test that you take to
mm,
have your high school diploma. And I was like, well, I never went to school. I'm not going to pass that. And she was like, yeah, you're smart enough.
mm.
So I know that you're going to pass. So I took it and I passed. So I had,
Wow,
when I
cool.
was 28, I had my GED from my high school. So I could find a job. And it is amazing how life takes you to, because at that point I was like knowing my mom as an adult,
Mm, mm,
understanding that the decisions that she took,
mm,
that we all were crying when we were young because of whatever she did. But now I'm like really grateful because I understand that it was not her intention to do anything wrong, and she
mm.
thought that what she did was the right thing.
That's
So I,
another point that is very important is like none of us come with a manual as to how to be a mother, okay?
yeah,
And it's from the environment and our inner calling that actually resonates to create our experiences. And what I'm hearing from you, and this is the first time I'm hearing this, so hats off to you, young lady. There are not very many people who can keep smiling and have been through whatever it is that you've been through. So when people sometimes say to me that, it's impossible and I can't do this, I think of myself being in a similar sort of thing, probably not as bad as you, but losing my home. I was the victim of the war of Iraq and Kuwait.
wow,
I lost my everything completely and had to start afresh. And with Sasha being, Down syndrome and having open heart surgery at that time,
oh
she had
wow,
many surgeries. She had three, four surgeries. So I can understand the amount of resilience one must have to be able to even want to get out of bed and say, you know what? Yes, it's another day. Let's move on. So
yes.
hats off to you. So let's now talk about so you come in and you start doing things. And so what was the first job like in the States that you had?
Well, we all get here and we all get to clean something, so that's the first thing that everybody does here. So of course, I was cleaning offices, and then I was like, well, I don't like to do this,
Mm.
and especially because you, I don't know, the way that we grew up is kind of funny because we didn't have money. Sometimes we didn't have food, but in our country we have a lady that serves for us,
Exactly.
a maid. So okay, the poor lady who was didn't
Mm.
even have food to cook, but she was
Yeah,
there
yeah.
as well. Yeah, not always, but yeah.
Mm,
So for me, it was like very shocking
mm,
to have to go through this,
mm, mm, mm,
because
mm.
it's something that you never think that you're gonna have to do. But I learned that like anything that you do
Do it with
is
pride.
like dignifies, yeah, dignifies that
Exactly.
you are.
You must have
Mhm.
actually, knowing you, I think that you must have brought a bit of class into cleaning.
Of course.
Because,
It
yeah,
is funny because then
exactly. Because if you've got to, if what, again, it's about taking pride in what you do, okay?
that's true.
And being the kind of person that you are, that I know you to be. And I would actually do the same thing. I would actually bring class into something that was mundane to give it an
Yes.
make it an art form, so to speak, right? And that's what it is that we're here to be and do differently. I think it's absolutely awesome. So when did you
Yes.
recognize that you have got this amazing calling of to be the peace messenger, to be the person who's into empowerment and inclusivity and human dignity? When did that spark? How did that come
Well,
about?
it was like when I always say that this country is full of opportunities, and I now I see that it's not just this country, it's the way that you
Perceive.
manage yourself. Yes, but for me it was this country. And talking about the cleaning, I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to keep doing this. And I have kids that I wanted to be an example for them, you
Yes.
know? So they were my motivation of always. So I was like, okay, my English so bad that I need to go into an office so I can, bring the
Mhm.
class out. At least wear heels. So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna go and apply in a filing room so I don't have to speak. That was
Mm-mm-mm.
my smartest idea that I had at that
It's
point.
amazing.
So yeah, so I did apply,
Mm.
and when I was in the interview, they offered me to be a victim advocate for sexual assault victims.
Oh,
So at
wow.
that point, yeah. And I was like, "Are you sure?" With my English, and they told me, "I need your Spanish." My boss at that time, English. I'm gonna teach you the English, but I need your Spanish because we wanna get to those victims that don't speak English.
And
So at
this
that
company,
point,
and this company was all about what? What was it doing?
mental health,
Oh, okay,
and
okay,
yeah. So I'm a crisis counselor
okay,
because of them.
okay.
And you know me, so I ended up being the team leader. I was training the volunteers. I was like, at first, it was like everybody was like laughing at me because I was the only social worker in heels. And
Doing that in a different way.
yeah, quite a yeah, bringing the class. So, and the detectives they will come to me just to talk to laugh about me. They were just bullying with me, and you know that I'm the kind of person that I don't care. So. It was huge for me to get into the system to see people suffering the same way that I did, and being their interpreter, knowing that I was their voice because they couldn't communicate, and I had to be there to be their the emotional support through the entire process, like during the interviews with law enforcement, if they have to go to court, if they have to face the perpetrator, so with their families. So it was a huge responsibility. So I was healing myself. Well, I was uh, helping them because it was
Yeah.
just helping. I was 24/7 on call. I was the only one in town at that point that spoke Spanish in the system. So I was just like with this huge responsibility, but at the same time, I took it as something that I was like grateful every day because it taught me so much.
It really
So
taught you
I
to
think that
have
was the point.
such an amazing expansiveness of what actually is going on and to be able to empathize. It's actually a very powerful role to be in, to be able to be there 24/7, to actually interpret what the people are saying. So you actually have to go through it because you're vocalizing it for the people in the law enforcement.
And
So
therapists, can you imagine in therapists? So that I had to force myself to learn the interpreting, the professional interpreter profession, because it was on me to get the message so they could get the help, so it was
it's an
uh
amazing, wow.
so I had to find a volunteer that it was this old lady that she was so cute. She passed away already, but I remember her so much because she was a volunteer. She's an American, and and I told her I need to learn English, and she was like, "Well, but you can read," and I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know how to speak. I don't understand." And she was like, "What is that you want to learn?" So I brought all the information from my job, and I used to meet her every lunch, every day, and she was teaching me about all the technicality of the law and all that, language that I didn't know, because I had to go to court and I had to listen to the judge and bring the message to the victim, of the person that I was involved with the case. So she taught me so much. She was like
So
really,
if I was
really
to
awesome.
summarize what it is you just said, it was persistence pays,
Yes,
because you actually every
yes.
lunch break spending so that you could enhance yourself. So if everyone who's listening to this, every time that you feel like giving up, try and remember what Rebecca is saying here, that every time that you want to give up, just stop in your tracks and say, there can be another step that I can take for me to become better and greater. Because unless we all don't step up to become the grandest versions of ourselves, Rebecca, how on earth
Nobody's
are
gonna
we
do
going
it.
to change the world? Really?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you for sharing that. So now you have done all this interpretation, you have become a person who is helping them to connect their emotions by your speaking to the other parties to try and help them to get the best possible whatever that is required for them to receive. But my question over there is, was that the thing that took you into becoming a peace messenger? I mean, how did that
No,
evolve?
I have to tell you the second part. It is that since I was working 24/7 and it was like getting like so close to me, and I have my kids, at that point I have my I got married and I have a daughter that it was 2 years old. So it was difficult for me to get that, you know, that kind of job. So I decided to resign, and I went to work to court as an interpreter. So I had to go to the other side. So I was
Mm,
interpreting for the perpetrators of every single crime. So I had to understand their motive. I was always there when they were talking about what they did and all that. So that, and working with the juvenile system was so like opening and for me,
mm,
that I was like, it's always two sides.
exactly.
So we're not gonna get to have peace if we only think about our side. So we
Mm,
always have to think, what is going on in the other side? What is this happening? Why is that we are fighting for something? We are always
mm,
just pointing our point, and
mm,
you
mm.
know that I'm very, but but I'm always open to listen, and so I understand and I learn how to listen to anyone because I've been in both sides.
But that is
So
interesting
that's
that
why.
you, how amazing is this? So first you're on the side of the victim, then on the side of the perpetrator to be able to understand. So again, which actually brings me to, and I'm going to go off track here because I believe this needs to be addressed. Would you say that that is something that has made you a person who would always look at both sides of a situation before coming to a conclusion? Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Uh, which leads me to the other question is like, and I'm going to push it in right now, is like, what made you choose to be part of G100 Oneness and Wisdom? What
Okay,
what
I hope you
what
like
what
my
was
answer.
what was There has to be something that bubbled up inside of you that said, wow, this is it. Because I experienced that, like, oh, wow, this is so much like who I am and who I could be and what I could reach out and do. So I'd like you to tell us, because it's always nice for people to
Yes.
hear that.
Well, actually, it is. I told you my kids are always my mother. And just to finish the other part, my daughter is like really, really the youngest. She's as how we call it nerd. So she was one day she came and she was like, "You're doing so much, but are you ever gonna finish a school?" So I went and I took my bachelor's, and I did the criminal justice.
Mm,
So then I've been like always listening to them and talking with them and understanding their point of view since they were young, all my kids. And I think that that taught me how to understand how young people think, and understand that when I went through different things when I was young, it was because I didn't have guidance, you
mm,
know?
mm.
So I was, and I have to tell you this so you can understand why I've been in both sides. As I told you, when I was young, I told my mom about the abuse. She didn't believe me. She
Mm,
was like, she was blaming it on me.
mm,
So I had to face that I had to live with that guy that was abusing me for a long time because I was 12. So I had to see how to get him to stop. So I was and I can tell you that he was the one that taught me how to be an entrepreneur. He was the one that was always there saying, you can do this, you don't have to go to school because you have this and this. So I'm not excusing him, whatever he did, not just with me or what, I don't know, in his life. Is not my point to judge him. If my mom didn't do anything to take it legally at that point, I
mm,
was 12, I couldn't do anything.
mm,
So I'm not gonna carry that pain all my life. So I just took the wise part of both sides,
exactly.
like what is that she was doing this, and why he having all this gift because he was very smart,
Mm,
is doing everything that is wrong. So
mm,
you always have an option to decide. Are you gonna do right or you're gonna do wrong?
mm,
And that's the way that I raised my kids. So going back to your question is like I'm always thinking about inclusion, and I want everyone that to be the same, and that's why I work with my husband really well because we are a really good team. But and so I was always against being representing a group. I was
mm,
like, no, we are all together. We are.
mhm,
But then one day I was sitting and I was like, okay, if I don't like this and I want to make a change, I cannot be just complaining, right? So
mm,
I have to be somewhere where I can do something.
mm,
So that's when G100 came to my life. And I was like, okay, I know everybody's going to laugh at me because I'm going to be in a group of women. And I always said that I was not going to be. But meeting you and talking to you and seeing that you have the same view, that even though that we represent a group, being honest and wisdom is just
mm,
trying to do the right thing,
mm,
and having this platform, because this is just a platform for us to bring the message.
mm.
And so I think that's why I decided to join.
Cool. Yeah, I've always wanted to see what inspires people to actually come and join the Oneness and Wisdom, because ideally and quite honestly, each one of us actually carries a whole lot of wisdom, right?
Yes, of
And
course.
and for me, it is like this amazing platform that Dr. Harbin has opened up for all of us to benefit with. It gives us a voice,
Yes.
okay, and to share. And I think what we are doing collectively in G100 Oneness and Wisdom, and now going out into the rest of the wings as well, is to really bring home what it
Yes.
is that can be done. And we are here as being advocates of that change, by being the change in action. I find I find it so fascinating and invigorating to actually be part of it. And
Yes.
there's so many times when I'm not a kind of person that will tolerate stuff. Okay, I can be kind, I can be gentle, I can be loving, I can be caring. When where things are not going the way the platform was designed, the way the message is to be delivered, how it needs to be delivered, I will always stand. I become this person that will say, don't do that because you're disrespecting the vision of this woman who has actually made it possible for all of us to share, to care, to work with one another, and to rise together. It's not about me and you and this thing about designations. For me, it is like, okay, so I'm the global chair, cool. But what can I learn from you? What can you learn from me? And that's where
Yes.
the oneness, I think that oneness needs to really come into play. No one is better than the other. And I keep saying this, no one is better than the other. It's just that some of us have been able to master something because that has been
Mm-hmm.
our calling. But it doesn't mean that other people are not masters in their own trade, right? It's
Yes.
just we are not aware of it. And that's why when I'm doing this podcast, it is to help people to see the brilliance that lies within our amazing sisterhood, truly, because that will shift the narrative, shift the needle of how we actually show up to
Yes.
assist one another to be greater versions of ourselves. Some people may choose to actually do that. Like if I don't know something, and you know that for a fact, if I don't know something, I would say, you know, sorry, I have no idea about what you're talking about. But it doesn't mean that I'm stupid, no, or I'm weak, or I'm not powerful. You know what I'm saying? But having that ability to be vulnerable, to ask for help,
Yes.
because you don't have all the answers. It's very, none of us have all the answers. That's why I keep saying we have been designed to truly awaken to our brilliance. That's what makes the difference. And when we can all stand in our power and our potency, is when we can actually drop this competition becomes obsolete. And
Yes.
we are there then
You're
to
right.
complete one another. And for me, that is my personal mantra to actually make that a possibility and reality in the time that I'm still on the planet. And I know that you guys all, we've all come together to actually do this. So now tell me about how you empower, how you drive home human dignity. How do you do inclusion? What all do you do? Because you've got a plethora of amazing things that you do. And I know we two are working on something together and as a collective to create something brilliant. So tell me a bit about that. The peace
Well,
part, the trainer, the consultant of human rights and diplomacy. What exactly is that?
well,
Tell us,
yeah, I
share
don't
with
even
us.
know. I don't even know. I don't even know, but it gave me a doctorate.
Yeah, you actually
Well,
did get honoris causa for being you're a doctor of what? Human rights and diplomacy? Isn't that
human
amazing?
rights and by the doctoral I don't know cluster of peace in Mexico.
Okay,
And yeah, so it was this the prince of Bentu who gave
okay,
me that. Yeah,
wonderful.
so it was cool. It was cool. It was like always say, like, everything that you receive. I'm very grateful when someone
Absolutely.
see what you're doing. But it's not about that. I'm not looking about just for that. I think that every time that I do something, as you just said, I look for how that person is going to be better. And I enjoy so much that, uh, for example, I'm a dancer, but I'm not a professional dancer, but my mom was. So she taught me how to dance. And one time when I didn't know what to do in my venturing part of being entrepreneur, I was like, well, I know how to dance. I'm just going to teach how to dance. So I decided to be a choreographer, and I did money with that. I had my
Good job.
academy, and yeah. So when I was doing that and I saw the faces when you change something, like someone that comes to you and doesn't know or doesn't know how to go on a stage and
Mhm.
and face their fears, that gives me so much joy.
Yeah,
So I understand that that is to be happy. That's
exactly.
happiness. Like when you do something for some to put that a smile on somebody else, that's that's what it
It's
is
true.
about.
And as I
So
say, it's important that unless we don't find our joy, how can we employ that joy? Because when
yeah,
we can find the joy in everything that you do, you be and do, and then employ that in everything that you do.
yes.
Because I think it's bringing a smile to people's faces. But I'm going to ask you a very intricate question now. So you've done choreography, you've done from cleaning to being a curator, uh, teaching people how to dance, receiving all these amazing things. I want to know, and I think many people want to know, how did you make money?
Well, the money, for me, money, it comes. So I'm not worried about making money. So I think that that is how I make money,
Okay,
not caring about money. So I can say that 90% of my time goes to the now the G100, the community, and all the organizations I represent. And I have a company that when I guess I do the right thing, I receive people that they want to work with me, so they come to me. So that's how I make money.
okay.
So I show them.
I'm not going to let you off the hook so easily. I'm going to invite you in the beginning of next month to talk about women and money. Okay, so
Okay,
don't think.
okay. Yes, I know that. So we can leave that on the
No,
slide.
because yeah, but it's nice. So, what kind of a structure do you have? So you have a company, and in that company you have different disciplines of work, right? So, what
Yes.
all in the company? I guess it's called Blue Tie. Blue
Blue
Tie.
tie, yeah.
Interesting name. Why Blue Tie?
Well, when I started the company, I did it with a friend, and we were like, okay, we're gonna do events, but I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do parties, I wanna do corporate events. So since we weren't thinking
The
on
Blue Tie.
galas,
Mhm,
so we didn't wanna put the
mhm,
black tie that
mhm,
everybody
mhm,
knows that when it's
mhm,
a gala is with a black tie.
mhm,
So we low the tone down and we
mhm.
say, okay, we're gonna do a blue tie.
Okay.
So the name came from that,
Okay.
and it became our brand. That every time that I go to an event,
Mm,
I wear a blue tie.
okay.
Okay, so everybody would like asking me like, what is this thing with a blue tie? So we were like
It's a nice
positioning.
opening for a conversation to market yourself.
Yes,
Amazing.
yes, yes.
And what are the different disciplines that you take care of under Blue Tie?
Well, we have media agency.
Mhm,
I do leadership consulting. That's a level, executive. So I've been in so many board meetings that I now train people to be in a board meeting, especially women, because I want to see women participating and
mhm,
direction and all that. But in my experience, I see that when you're working with women, the majority think that you get to be, you get empowered when you receive like a position, but you don't know what to do.
mm.
So I have a workshop that I call "Am a leader and now what?" Because
I like that.
everybody wants to be a leader.
Mhm.
But what is that you're gonna do when you are? So it's not just taking a picture, it's not just receiving the prize. So I'm trying with my experience, I've been in those positions so many times that I'm trying to guide others to do it. So that's my
Mm,
consulting. And so I have workshops and different trainings. And we do corporate events. Yeah, huge
wonderful,
events as well.
wonderful. It's nice to know that. I always like to ask my guests a question before we wrap up, and it is, if you were wanting to leave us with some amazing advice, giving us maybe 5 pointers or 3 pointers, whatever you'd like to, as to how can we truly step into the space of oneness. I'd like you to share your wisdom with us on that, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that because when you asked me why I did join the G100, I was so amazed with this wing, because I think that we have so many wings in different sectors, but this one is a very special one. And it goes with my heart
Mm,
because one of the things that I forgot to tell you that I received money from is doing team building and teaching people how to work together. So for me, one of the, I guess, and I will put it like in, maybe in the first place is to understand that we can don't do it alone.
yeah,
We
exactly.
we
We've got
need
to
to
come together to
collaborate.
create far greater. Exactly.
Yes. So if you understand that, like everything is so easy, and if you see what I just shared with you, like uh, I wouldn't be here if it's not because you are giving me the opportunity to talk. Because a lady in the past uh, saw something in me that gave me opportunity to be a victim advocate. Because someone is always there to give you a hand. So
Mm,
we need to be grateful. That's the
mm,
second one.
okay.
Don't forget what others are doing for you because nobody has any obligation to do anything. So, as the same thing that I have, that is to make choices, you had the choice to decide whether or not I was going to be here, right?
I
And
pulled you out
you
from
decide,
somewhere where you were hiding and said, because again, you took the
yes,
initiative to say, may I have a conversation with you? And I said, have you not had a conversation with whoever? And he said, no, I'd like to talk to you. And when I heard you speak, I said, what are you doing? You got to be here, you know? So
yes,
it's
and I'm very grateful because I believe the communication is the key, and we
yeah,
need to have a voice.
communication.
So we need, yeah, so speak up and respect others' opinions and perspectives. Yes, we know that we are laughing, but it's true. Like we don't have to take everything personal because we don't know what
No, now I've got
others'
to share.
opinions
Now
are.
I've got to share with the world what actually happened just before we came on, okay? And this is
Okay,
us
okay.
being unfiltered. Okay, this
Yes,
that's why I like to have these conversations because it's unfiltered, totally. Okay,
that's
and I
nice.
don't edit any of this. Just before we came on the call, I had sent a message because this amazing woman, um, Rebecca, does a lot of work with me and actually creates a whole lot of those amazing things that you all are seeing right now, as far as on Facebook and Instagram. The woman we're talking to today is the curator, the creator of that. So thank you so much. But I had a bit of I sent her a note today and I said, I think we're doing an overkill. And she immediately responded in a way that was like, this is it, and this is it, and this is it, and this is it. And for me, it was like I was taken aback because I've never heard her actually speak in this manner. And all I could do is to be quiet and actually listen. I read it and I just responded. I said, I think if you could tone your message down a bit, okay? Because for me, it was like, what on earth? What's going on? And all I was doing was
Okay.
sharing my perspective, okay? But this is something that we all have to get. And that's why I'm talking about it. This is something we all have to get is that when someone knows their work and is masterful at their skill, you have to also remember that they know what is being done. I can have my opinion, okay? And we can talk about it and we can actually see what can be done. So, being open to listening to people, I think, is a very powerful skill. But
Yes,
also, when somebody who is a master in their craft tells me something, I need to listen. I had a similar thing with somebody else who's wanting to do something. And I said, well, I don't think this. And she said, well, this is how it's done. So I'm learning. You see, this is it. No matter how young you are or how old you are,
that's true.
you've got to be able to look at you, what you were saying, what the other lady was saying, was coming from a space of wanting to make our wing grow. It is not
Yes,
personal, you know what I'm saying? So we all must learn this. We all must learn
yes.
this. And thank you for teaching that to me today. And I'm
No,
grateful that you did. Okay, because we all
no,
can
no, you're
learn to be
welcome. And
grander and better. Because you were doing it from a space of truly wanting to make us grow. When I got that, I got it in a nanosecond. I said, "Oh my God!" And that's why when he said, "I respect you," and I said, "Darling, we're going on a podcast. It's going to be okay, and we're going to have a field day. So it's all finished." And I appreciated everything that you said because how, again, if I have a strong point of view that this is the way, that's the right way, perfect way, no other way, then I'm getting in my own way. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
And that's what
yes,
we have.
yes,
So thank you for bringing that, helping me to experience that today. But don't think I'm not going to question you. That's another thing. We have to be open to questioning because when I'm questioning, anyone is questioning, what you're seeking is clarity of something
yes,
that you do
yes,
not know, right? So when we
yes.
can actually say, I do not know this, only then can we learn, right? Like
That's
I'm
true.
not
And
good
that's
with marketing or media. I am good with giving the vision. After that, I have to find people who are going to be 100% better than I am to be able to work with me, not for me, with me, to make
yes.
this a grander thing. And that's where oneness comes in, ladies and
Uh,
gentlemen. So
yes, and that's why I respect you so much, and that's why I knew that I could ask. And I want to just add something because I'm grateful that you're talking about this, but it won't be fair to say that is my creation. I have a team that work. You have been
you
in
have an
contact with some of them.
amazing denim partner.
Yeah, and my amazing husband that is a denim partner that is behind all this. And we have a team of people that are putting, you know, their creativity, their time, that to do what we ask them to do. So when I am gonna go to them to say like, just stop doing this, I want to have a reason. It's not that I don't,
Exactly.
because they're human. They're human, and it's what they do all day long. So
And
it's
they're
not that I
masterful at
don't.
that. Exactly. They're masterful at
Yes,
what they
yeah,
do.
and they're master. And and you are, in this case, we can say that you are our client. So I also need to understand what is your point to
Yes.
making that decision. So it's not that I'm not like, you know,
No, no,
getting
no.
into this that
No, but that's,
well, this is like this, so this is my position. It's just, you know, it's being
yes,
able
exactly.
to listen both
Yeah.
sides.
So that's, see, so there's nothing personal there. It is,
Yes,
when we, it was such an amazing time to actually have that, then to come out to the call and enjoy the call and be
yes,
honest and open. You know what I'm saying? That's what
yes,
is required of everyone on the planet, literally,
yes,
to actually be this way, you know? Because only when
yes,
we can
yes,
be this, that we can actually become something greater and grander. And we have a vision. Our vision is far greater than our personal agendas, literally.
yes,
And when we are
yes.
talking about G100, we're talking about our personal agendas go onto the side when we take up the mantle of actually being country chairs and global chairs and making the shift. I mean,
Yes, yes,
such an
that's true. And
amazing.
especially because when we take this, it's a commitment. And when you get a position that, especially you're going to put time that is uh, valuable, you know, but it is, you're not getting money, that everybody's like always, you know, moving with the money. You need to do it with purpose. It's not just, okay, I'm into this, but I don't know.
Mm,
As you said before, Dr. Harbin had a vision, a dream, an idea, and she created all this. And if I say I'm gonna join you in this, I need to back her up, you know,
exactly,
because that's
exactly, exactly,
we need to be responsible. Because if
exactly.
I'm gonna go and appoint a team of
Mm,
people that is believing in me,
mm,
I have to lead by example. So I need to
exactly. Lead by example. Totally, totally.
yes.
So, ladies and
So that's
gentlemen, we were having a intense conversation with Dr. Rebecca Forero, and we have had some amazing nuggets that she has shared, and I'm just going to read them out one more time. She talks about let us be grateful, let us make our choices wisely, let us be committed in who we are and what we choose to do. Let us have a voice
yes,
that everyone can hear. Let us be respectful of who we work with. Let us be open to learning. What is the peace message that you would like to
well,
share?
well, the peace message is I think that is the part that you didn't mention on your list is that to to have a good life, to live in peace, we need to collaborate with each other. Yeah, and we need to to see the good thing in others before we see the negative, because that's where we will learn to find the wrong, you know, like, okay, this is not working for this, for this, for this, but we are not seeing the positive things in anything. So we need
So,
to change that
so we
shift.
have to give up judgment, and so to speak, judging
Yes,
yourself, judging someone else, judging, which goes into the blame game, which does not create anything but stagnates everything. Right?
yes, and it starts from us, you know, because
Ex-
we are the first one to judge us. Like, right.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will call it a wrap. It's been lovely speaking with you, Rebecca. Always something
Thank
nice
you
to
so
learn
much.
from you. And I hope you learned something from me too.
I always do. You know that.
Just kidding.
You know
Um,
that. Yeah,
but we are here to actually co-create, to
that's true.
co-relate, to facilitate, and to
Hmm.
truly step up to being the change that we seek in the world. So good night, everyone. Thank you, everyone who's going to be listening to this now and in the future. Do comment and let us know what you think of this conversation. Thank you very much and good
Thank
night.
you.